Ego just a bit. And before we get into the Land of Dawn, how is the Eve doing in this meta? Just real quick, one word.
I think it's pretty good, but
pretty
situational.
Good. Situational, pretty good. Okay, so that's the landscape that we're expecting, ladies and gentlemen, as we are getting into the Land of Dawn for game number 1. Both teams want to make it out of the red zone. Both teams want to bring shining, shimmering, splendid moments for themselves and their name and their organization. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, game number 1 in this best of 3 series.
Shining, shimmering, splendid. Maybe they'll be carried by that magic carpet outside of the red zone into the Land of Dawn. A whole new world for both these teams to really try and get their momentum going. But on that note, talking about the matchup there, especially in the mid lane, the clear by the Eve is surprisingly good. And maybe the idea is that with lack of engage, you get that range advantage. Eve is notorious for having the poke, having the kite potential, but I have the same concerns, Mirko. I'm not sure if that's going to be adequate against a team like this that wants to go all in. And again, with all the maneuverability tools that they have to chase down the members of Rebellion, I think it's a bit vulnerable in this current situation right here. And the Akai, we've seen X-Win be an absolute nuisance, even deny some buffs technically with the base damage of the Akai, but we'll have to wait and see if that will be enough to really have an impact in this early game. Emblems by IndyHome though, showing again the tenacity for Cars. Wants to be a bit more tanky, but also going with the Swift to get more bolts out after that Primal Wrath. And if you look at it, Wilderness Blessing for the mid lane and Roam, this is going to be a mobile heavy game. And if that's the idea for both teams, like we've mentioned, Alter Ego, what their composition, will have a lot more of an advantage when it comes to moving around.
I have a question though, Arashi. In the gold lane, who wins that lane matchup?
Ooh. I would say that in theory it should be the Roger, but it's also a bit skill-based because the Moskov is so flexible. But look at this. Aether already getting ping-pong down. Nile, can we able to get that knockup? Oh, actually, he missed the knockup. X-Win now coming in. Nile picking up the blades, forced back. Sway Low is chasing him down. Doesn't have to ultimate, steps up a bit too aggressive, pops in the Purify to get away from Nino. And it will just be a 0 for 0. Trey Cars has the Earth Shatter, goes for the minion waves. Rebellion gonna go for level 4. Cars has gotten it first. They can actually go for a fight. Primal Wrath coming down. Roundel disrespecting the damage potential of Rebellion. Nino is low. Cars will take him out. First blood to the Blue Bulls.
All right, beautiful start here for Rebellion, being able to get that pickup. And now they're going to be focused on utilizing that space to get an edge in this neutral objective. And I don't think Rebellion will be contested for it, right? Alter Ego completely let it go. And if we shift our focus back onto the gold lane, again, if the Roger is supposed to be winning lane, so far, Heiss has been having a better time clearing. Is it the choice of sub-emblems that has a factor towards it?
Well, I think when it comes to clearing, the fact that your hits hit the whole wave with the Moskov allows you to clear faster. So again, when it comes to moving around, clearing and rotating, with the speed of destruction, Heiss can't really be matched right there, but Cars...
Oh, implosion from Owen into the demonic force to jump back into the Eternal Guard. The disengage from X-Win. Aether still going to be taken down though. Rebellion cutting their losses, only leaving Aether to fall.
Great aggressive movements from both these teams. I mean, earlier, the fact that they were, for Rebellion, they were able to get the level 4 advantage, win a fight, was great. But immediately, Alter Ego strike back with the Tigreal pick. We did highlight this as a bit of a weakness there, right? For Rebellion, they're susceptible to just grouping up and getting punished like that. With Purifies only on the backline members, the front line has to be a bit more careful with the positioning.
And now, it looks like Owen wants to go in for an engage here. Not going to be able to get Aether's purple buff just yet, still able to hold on to it. And so, as we're entering the 4th minute of the game, who has that better control and better setup?
Control and setup. I feel like for Alter Ego, they can get into the right positions a lot easier. There's not a lot of ways for Rebellion to punish it. But when it comes to scouting, the spammability of the Yave, I think, will help out Rebellion a bit more when they're moving in. So there are ways for Rebellion to kind of be careful. But Alter Ego, again, even though they can get scouted out, sometimes the attacks can come from the sides, from behind even, with a bit of the Spear of Destruction. So Owen there, as you can see, gets pressured, gets poked down. But in the grand scheme of things, like Mirko mentioned, the lack of engage means that X-Win has to make a very careful and expensive decision. Does he want to use a heavy spin to catch someone or to break the pace of Alter Ego?
To the positive though, neutral objective control with the Akai and the Alpha is really good. Owen Already trying to go dive deep. Spear of Alpha coming down, still winning on the direction. Battle, Time of the Blaze comes down, and X-Win is able to pin Owen all the way to the wall, taking him down. Aether picking up the kill. Now it's Niall. Goes in for the Blaze, picks it up, and now it's Nino who is going wild in the back. Just trying to zone cars and sway low as Niall will cut their movements away to give High some space. Try to siege down this mid lane. Our mini wave is there. Matt entering from the other side, doing a whole lot of damage out the Niall cars with the flicker forward and the Earth Shatter and the onward, forcing Roundel. The flicker out of the RWM, sway low, slowing them down with the utility. That's a Primal Rat used. King MATT. Grr is what he says. He doesn't get the last shot though, however. Unfortunate stuff. Rebellion are still able to keep things okay.
But you're seeing the damage potential, the chase potential. If there were a few more items in the inventory slots of Rebellion, that could have potentially been a dangerous situation for Alter Ego. All-One came in, and Rebellion respected his presence with the earlier implosion play. But it really wasn't up. It was more of a deterrent. If the game goes on, I think Alter Ego needs to be very careful with how they want to exit some of these trades. They can enter fast, but they can't really exit out as easily as they really could in usual situations. Looking at some of the items right here, Thunderbelt for Edith, as well as Matt saw earlier, that's where the chase potential comes in. He's also extra tanky, and he has a bit of extra slow coming in, and extra burst damage as well. So when it comes down to the cleanup situation, he can actually be a real threat.
Oh, that poke damage with the Thunderbelt rush on the Roger, certainly something as well. But yeah, for Rebellion, I would actually say, now looking at it, this could be the strategy to beat Alter Ego. Having no initiation is no problem because it's always Alter Ego who wants to fight anyways. Rebellion should just be like, all right, you want to fight? Nah, heavy spin, fool.
Yeah, and then they would have to force a lot of resources coming out from Alter Ego in these team fights if they do go for that engage, especially with Swalo picking up that RWM. We saw that actually in that previous skirmish, and we might see it again. Niall now level 10, we do see Aether is on the same level. So Rebellion right now, they have the better setup. And again, Alter Ego, they're still looking for it. They're still looking for this contest. Look at Nino go in.
He's getting the Demonic Force procs down on X-Win and cars, but good job holding off to that. They know that if they initiate first, Rebellion will be able to retaliate. Spear of Destruction connecting. They won't be able to take it. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, King MATT almost a solo killed Highs. He's forced back. That is a free lane for MATT. The Rebellion decide to utilize this cars with an onward, getting Nino. But a damage, Owen getting the implosion, but that's where the heavy spin comes in handy. Niall pinned down to the wall. Owen still in the midst of it all, still dealing damage. Real world inflation, able to zone them away. Roundel to be brought back by cars there, and it will be a trade. Aether for Roundel as Niall's forced back cars with the Primal Rat is still poking Nino down. That's a double for Cars the Machine.
2-for-1 trade now. Rebellion are gonna have a little bit more to say after that, despite Niall being able to pick up that turtle. Unfortunately, the heavy spin was utilized before that, but wait a second, Owen! What was he doing?
Just walked up to try and exert some pressure, gets tossed back. He did delay long enough to actually save the mid turret though, and Niall actually gets a turret on the top side. Alter Ego somehow, someway got something of value in that situation there. But again, Rebellion, they're able to neutralize the threat of the Tiger Wheel almost completely using the heavy spin with the cut control immunity and the pushback. And for the most part, you can see that Roundel in particular, he is struggling to find the same impact in this fight, man. Every single time the fight breaks out, Cars is just on him immediately.
King MATT likes those odds. 2v1, no problem.
No problem at all. What's his level now? 10. As compared to Highs, who's also level 10. It would be interesting to see how that gold differential is at this moment. Because Rebellion still have that gold lead.
Unfazed.
Absolutely not. It's fine. 1v3.
Whoa, unfazed. Purifies out. MATT, that might have been a mistake. That's an internal guard to the face. Oh no, MATT, not like this.
Okay, maybe that was a little too much for him to handle.
He was too unfazed.
He was too unfazed. Maybe he should have been phased just a little bit. Man, Lycan pouncing forwards when he knows the members were there, that's a bold move, man.
That's a Matt move right there.
That can make your team confident, but it can also kind of slow you down. With that play, the gold difference, it must have been significant in the gold in Eterna, because you look at it now. It was 2K just a little bit earlier. Now it's down to 1, below 1 even. It's back to the waiting game where Rebellion, in theory, has had the pressure, but keep in mind, there was the Moskov, there is the Ling. Right, the longer the game goes, the less turrets are available. Alter Ego can get an advantage, especially now without the heavy spin. Keep your eyes on Owen, man.
Oh man, X-Win, they're gonna have to wait for this heavy spin to be back up. They're going to be caught by the implosion. Like you said, he has the ultimate still.
Niall is 2 levels ahead as well, by the way. So the Rebellion really want to go for the contest at 50-50.
Yeah, this is a good decision by Alter Ego. They need to fight. They need to go for the fight. X-Men doesn't have ult. Oh no, they're taking it so slow. X-Men might be able to get ult before that. Cars with the shatter forward, going on to round up. Zoning him away, implosion to the back line. X-Men still doesn't have the heavy spin, and there you go. Even with that, Nile gets the kill. Nino gets traded over. That is a 2-for-1. 2 members per the Lord. And now Rebellion are the ones actually utilizing this as a benefit, as an advantage. Into the mid lane they go. 3v5 Rebellion. X-Men still doesn't have the ultimate, but it's a-okay. The Lord should be, like, they should be able to clear the Lord too.
Was that worth it?
For Rebellion, yes. Now the gold lead is back to almost 2k. Alter Ego, that was an interesting play, but this is as well Nile with the Temples of Blades and the recalls, just to show off a bit of that dominance. But Alter Ego, they get the objective, and they just immediately back away. They left Nino and Owen to fend for themselves when the gold lead really wasn't that significant. And to top it off, they were having that heavy spin down. That was a big factor in their success in these fights. I feel like they could have really committed more to that, but maybe they have a different plan.
Yeah, see, the question was more to Alter Ego, right? Because
Exactly.
they got the objective, but then it felt like there was like a miscommunication as to what they wanted to go for next. Did they wanted to go for the team fight? Did they want to pull back and wait for the Lord? But that Lord was just rendered useless at this point.
Because, you know, they had the same kind of gold, and technically their composition is more suited to just going in. Like we mentioned earlier, they can't really exit as easily, especially with the Phobias, right? It's just forward for Nino, right? There's no rear gear. He just keeps moving forward, and that's all he can do. So for Alter Ego to not go forward while they have the same kind of gold, no real big gold advantage for Rebellion, I feel like it was a bit of a waste. But Nile is still having an advantage. He's still, you know, leading when it comes to EXP and gold. And Alter Ego can play this route, right? This split push route, and it is kind of working. Oof. I was gotta be careful though.
He does. Nile with... It was 2 levels ahead of Aether earlier on, now back down to 1. But again, this player just shows us his potential, just shows us his quality, being able to farm as quickly as that as well. And let's take a look at the items too. We have Highs on the Moskov with 3 items. Is he ahead at this point? Is he enough to be able to carry in these team fights when they go in for that full commit that you mentioned?
I feel like he has enough items to not be ignored, but when it comes to just being that main threat that can kind of shred the whole team at the same time, he needs at least, like, I think, 1 more item. You know, like a Malefic Roar or something could really amplify his damage even more. For Matt, it's the exact opposite. Now he has all this burst damage with the double true damage burst with the Thunderbolt and the Endless Battle. And to top it off, he has the Great Dragon Spear as well. So his maneuverability in these fights is going to be really, really amazing. Suelo went for the Blood Wings though, so when it comes to the extra slow from the Ice Queen's Wand, or maybe extra defensive stats from something like a, you know, something like a Winter, like a Brute Force, you know, if he's concerned about the Nile Assassin threat, he doesn't really have it just yet. Going for that safety, for that movement speed-based approach, and with the Purify, I guess he's just thinking that so far, he really hasn't been doved on just yet. So he's comfortable going for just more damage and more impact in these fights.
I get that, but what about Wishing Lantern on him? Is that something that we typically see?
On the Yeet, not so far just yet, but with how long these fights are going, maybe it can be a valuable item.
We'll see.
Poke. Little by little, you know, trying to poke the enemies down. Rebellion are actually going to just be committing. Owen with the conceal to the back right now. The Primal Rat coming in from Cars. Owen gets a massive implosion, but that is in. Heavy spin actually to respond it over as well. Nice displace Aether. Coffin Spear of Misery. Cars now able to actually walk back on the Suelo, who has that real rubber blade. Nile diving deep, getting caught as well. Highs going on to Aether, a messy fight. And this time it is heavily in favor of the 3 faces.
That was so good for Alter Ego. 4 members taken down. A Lord on the way. This tower in this mid side is going to fall. Arashi, break it down. What happened there?
Alter Ego were able to use that Lord to force a full-on direct fight. There was no chance for Rebellion to go back and forth, and sway low. His impact was completely negated right there. He wasn't allowed to scout, he wasn't allowed to poke or slow anyone down. The fight will happen before he knows it. And we talked about his vulnerability for the aggressive items, the Wishing Lantern, the Glowing Wand. You can see there, Nile almost one-shot him, and the chase was actually so good. It was only unfortunate that Nile went to the Finch Poise to get extra distance, but he jumped on Cars instead of on Sway Low. He could have gotten Sway Low in there as well. Unlucky for Niall, but a kill is a kill and a win is a win. That's a 2,000 gold lead. This time with the Lord, they're able to actually utilize it as an advantage. And now, in the later stage of the game, we are seeing why Rebellion's comp isn't that good, I would say. It's good, it's a very conditional composition. Again, if Alter Ego engage the normal way, it's great. But if Alter Ego attack from different angles, it's chaos nonetheless. And Alter Ego strives from that with their composition, especially in the later stage of the game. Like we said earlier, a front to back can really favor Rebellion because they can poke everyone down. And even if they force and engage, the heavy spin is available. Even if Alter Ego play around the heavy spin, the Purify still is available for Sway Low. So he can kind of stay in the front and be that bold poking tool for the team. But if he's not allowed to do so, and like we said, with the maneuverability, if a Spear of Destruction comes in from the side, from a 90-degree angle, if Niall comes in and skips all of these tanky frontline members, they still fall. So in theory though, Rebellion, when they get into this defense position inside their own base, they actually can play it a bit better, but that's where the Moskov and Roger difference comes in. When it comes to damage output from both these teams, the Moskov will be able to do a lot more damage. So that is where the dynamic is right here. It's almost a contest between the poking of Sway Low and the DPS of Highs in these fights, especially when he's approaching or to achieve full 6 items with the Malefic Roar and the Wind of Nature as a result of the previous fights. Sway Low already has a Divine Glaive though, so the burst damage, again, especially with the Wishing Lantern, that Void Blast, the first skill of the Yve, it does an insane amount of damage right here with the scaling. So there's a chance that they can maybe do a lot of damage before, but if Alter Ego wait for the right moment and engage decisively, this can be the beginning of the end for Rebellion.
Is that okay though? Is that okay to, like, you're 2,000 gold behind at this point and you don't really have any tools to work around? If you go full aggressive, full physical attack, especially for MATT, wait a second.
That's free. Owen is the one pinned down, but he has the implosion. No, he doesn't. Actually, he does. He can go for it. In the back, he decides to use a flicker defensively. X-Win gonna be taken down. Niall able to find a Tempest of Blades to the back, and Nito just gets all of it there. Roundel dealing with the front. Aether falling down to Niall. Only King MATT is left. He gets a kill. That's a shutdown. But now what can he do? Nothing. It's even Roundel who gets the kill back. Rebellion have been wiped out. Alter Ego utilizing the holes in Rebellion's composition to take control. Niall will just tank the crystal damage of Winter Crown. Fu! Alter Ego 1-0.
Here it is. Alter Ego lead this best of 3 series 1-0. And unfortunately, Rebellion with